As highly sensitive people, we tend to have really good intuition and we have really good ability to listen. So we just have to point it towards ourselves. Okay, so then one last a turnaround, which would
Yeah.
be instead of he didn't consider me, we'll switch the roles. Instead of he didn't consider me, I didn't consider him.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so how could this does this make a sense in any way that you maybe didn't consider him in some small way?
Maybe not the entirety of his thought process before.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or even like his full desires of the day. Um, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So again, it just opens things a little bit because there's more to consider here than just what I was thinking about. It's like he may have something surprising that's even that would really work for me too, or even if it doesn't, I can find some understanding for where he may be coming from. And it's an opener for conversation. It becomes like a point of connection rather than where the mind originally goes, which is judgment or contraction.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I love that you just did this live and
Sure. I'm like the willing guinea pig. And I feel like the going through the motions of it gives it a great example too. And it's like, okay, I want to run those down. It's great.
yeah, I love it. It's very simple, it's very respectful, and it's very connected to our own experience. And so it doesn't feel like intellectual. You can go intellectual on it, but that's not
Hmm.
really the intention of this. It's depth work, it's inner work.
Hmm.
And when you do it, what happens is your perspective changes, and you can use this in many different situations. And it's something I love to do.
It's beautiful. And I think it's relatable to so many people that may listen in too. Be like, oh, shit, how many times did I knee jerkingly guess that
Right.
or
Yeah.
ask this or that sort of thing too? And I do want to tie in, I'm just checking out the little time there, because of the, what is it, the nature of being, they're linked to people pleasing or that sort of thing. I'd love to kind of like segue a little bit into that too. Maybe
Absolutely.
why there's such a connection, or is it because we're so observant and tuned in? It can, have those little spidey senses to people's feelings, or guesses, that sort of thing, or coming from a desire to be like loved, accepted. I'll just let you kind of like chat a little bit, maybe on the connection between HSPs and people pleasing, and then like how to maybe not do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. There's two sides. There's the HSP trait and then there's the stress response. I kind of mentioned this
Mm,
already. Like so the stress is something I want to reduce and work and question my thoughts about and change about myself and all of that. The HSP part, I don't want to change that. That's who I am. That's my
yeah.
nature. So recognizing the difference between what's my actual nature and then
Mm,
what's my imbalance, and then finding the balance there, that's a really important thing. But you'll recognize imbalance by stress. Stress
mhm,
is the alarm clock. It tells you, okay, I'm believing something that is hurting me, that is stressful, that is causing me pain. And so you don't have to analyze it deeply. You just have to know, okay, that got me. So something's going on, and then I'll do my inner work. So people pleasing is basically putting other people's uh, other people ahead of myself. It's not that like we all like to please people. That's not people pleasing. Is in a weird kind of way. Is
mhm,
that we do see what is other people's needs and what would make them happy, and we naturally feel generous and want to be kind to others and include them and do all the nice things that
mm,
that look. Some people might say, "Oh, that looks like people pleasing," but the difference is where's it coming from inside. If it's coming from a sense of desperation that I need their approval, or worse yet, that I'm afraid of their disapproval, which is what I notice the most with myself. Is like I have to do it perfectly because I don't want them to not like me, and so I get caught in having to do it instead of just naturally
mm,
wanting to do it.
mhm.
So the skill is the same. The HSP skill, or even you don't have to be HSP to be aware of other people, but we are hyper aware of others. That skill is the same, and we tend to care, and we are kind and generous and inclusive and all of those things. But when a stressful thought comes in, like we were just looking here, like I want their approval, or I need them to like me, or something like that, suddenly now there's a desperation that enters the picture, and I start acting like a people pleaser, where I'm actually doing something not because I want to give, but because I'm trying to get something, or because I'm not, I'm not full, I'm empty, and I'm needing them to fill me, and that's a desperate place to enter any kind of relationship. So
Mm,
whenever you notice that, you'll feel it, check out what you're thinking, and then go through a process like we just did right there.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I love like the intentionality and or just asking yourself, where's it coming from? I like a friend of mine, have friend and mentor actually had this question in one of our like little mastermind sessions, and or just like what are you moving from love or for it? And to me, that's a clear distinction of like kind of like that, like kind of graspy or like trying to get something versus like overflow or wanting to pour into someone.
Exactly. Yes. Like um my mentor used to say like love like love, and I may not remember the exact words now, but love is not the same as wanting something, or
Mm,
wanting someone. Like I want, like if there's a neediness in that, as opposed to just I love, it's just an experience. It's just like
mm,
it's an overflowing cup. And yes, I get things in return, and it is mutual, but that's just a stronger place to be coming from.
mm. And then anything else that you want to add to like the people pleasing dynamic or HSPs or being nice or boundaries or any of the things that come into play there? I know I have until a little bit of after one my time. I think that's 11, 15 your time.
Yeah, I've got plenty of time. Yeah. So, basically, um, this affects intimacy, it affects
Mm,
connection. And a lot of the reasons why people have trouble, in their relationship or with a partner is because of little miscommunications or little beliefs that are interfering with how you're seeing the other person. And so if you make a habit of cleaning these little thoughts up and really giving yourself space to explore honestly, then what happens is you stop seeing your partner as an enemy. You start seeing them as the friend that they are. And then you actually have closer connection and more fulfilling experience together. And so it benefits all levels of life.
I love that. I'm just like thinking, get a little visualization going on, and I'm like, I'll keep that one to myself.
I love
Like,
it.
yes. Yeah, because it to me when something you spoke of earlier, it's like the contraction and the closing versus like the openness and the connecting gateway to intimacy, and the the willingness to be curious and compassionate with oneself and like their partner.
That's it. Yeah. You can't be open and closed at the same time. It's kind of a
Oh, yeah.
it's really hard, So I mean, I've witnessed it with clients where they're like I'm just unable. I'm not even attracted to my wife anymore, And it's like, well, what's going on? What do you? And then, oh my gosh, this is what I'm thinking and believing. Of course, like the the, the beauty of the other person gets completely eclipsed by the thoughts that you're believing about them.
Hmm. Like any other like frames or tips or I guess actually I could ask you my question that I forgot to ask in the beginning that I'm trying to remember to ask. It's like asking you kind of like what's, turning you on the most in life or making you feel the most alive in and out of the bedroom. Just kind of like it's open and a broad question. It can be.
Yeah, it's a great question. I was thinking about it. I was like, just this conversation is turning me on in a really sweet way of like just the what I love doing is bridging the inner world and the outer world.
Mm,
For me, that is so satisfying. And you know, I when I was younger, I was more inward and more just like doing my own thing, doing my own inner. Uh, I've always been into meditation and all that kind of stuff. But as I've grown, like I feel like my calling is to be connecting the outer and inner worlds. It's kind of like my mom and my dad a little bit. My mom was really outward, my dad was really inward, and somehow those two are something I like to bridge. And so that really excites me, and is something that makes me feel alive. Really does.
mhm. That's beautiful. Any other favorite ways that you like to be that bridge? I know you mentioned meditation. Uh,
Yeah, you know, like for me, it used to be like meditation was the only way, and it is really. I still meditate like regularly every day, and I love it as a practice. I think it's more inner work again.
mm,
But what surprised me is that getting into the nitty gritty of life is as important as that kind of transcending experience as well.
mm, mhm,
Analogy that comes to mind is like a tree where you to grow higher, you also have to grow deeper.
mm,
So the
mhm,
roots have to get down into the dirt and like get into the real nitty gritty of life, and that supports the going higher and expanding to higher values of life. So, like me, just running a business, being like all this stuff that I thought was materialistic, you know, is like no, bring it on because that's where that inner world is starting to bridge out into the outer world, and it's very fulfilling when it starts to happen. What it feels like is alignment from
mm,
deep inside to outside as well.
mm. I'm curious. Well, I'm curious about a couple of things, but I'm like any specific type of meditation. But then I just it's more of a comment, I guess. It's like, yeah, I think I used to try to want to transcend maybe out of the human experience because it's like
Yes,
maybe because there's a lot going on here, or there's like the HSP stuff or whatever. But I feel like lately within the last like year or so just like this embracing of my humanness and mess has
yes,
been so nice and juicy that it makes life feel more spiritual and or like noticing of like
absolutely.
synchronicities or connections or and that sort of thing too. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I came here to be a messy human.
Yes, that's oh my gosh, we're on the same path. It's so counterintuitive because I'm the same, and I think it's an HSP thing to kind of
Mm,
wanna just let's just witness this whole life instead of actually be in it. But, like, to actually get our feet involved and get our feet on
mm,
the ground and get messy, be like a mess and let that be okay, like, that is healing
mm,
for I think for everyone, but especially for HSPs. So, yeah, that is where that is what is exciting me 100%. You know, as far as meditations, there are many kinds of meditations, and there's so many effective ones. There are different kinds, like some are just relaxation or just getting
mm,
yourself in your body a little bit. And those are helpful when you're not able to get in your body or, you know, just things like that. But then there's different kinds of meditation. Even yoga can be a meditation. And then I do transcendental meditation, which is a mantra meditation, and it's super easy to do and very delicious is the way I like to describe it. It feels really good, you know. But there's Buddhist meditation. There's just so many forms, and that's something that I encourage everyone to spend time researching. Like, what's the meditation that fits for me? You know, that
mhm,
really, and then try some and find ones that work for you because it's something that can provide a solid basis for your life. You know, HSPs need more alone time than other people. They need time to like decompress. They need time to be just quiet, not doing anything productive. And meditation scheduled into your day can provide that in a great way. I do it first thing in the morning and I do it at the end of my workday. And it's just like this beautiful start to my day and a beautiful kind of like reset before the evening.
I just had a question come up too. Is it, the time you mentioned, like, being or needing the time to yourself, and I'm like totally resonate with that. I had a partner one time, he's like, I get it. And I see or feel it as maybe being you're choosing to spend time not with me. So I'm like, any tips or anything for the partners of highly sensitive people, maybe?
Yeah, it's a tough one at first until you understand this trait a little bit, that this is just an actual need. This is not about, the other person not wanting to spend time with the other person. It's that as HSPs, we just need time alone, and it has to be on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And we can judge ourselves for being selfish in that way, but that's not what really is going on. There's a limit. We reach our limit earlier, and we want to prevent it from getting into a state of overwhelm where it becomes chronic overwhelm. And then now you're going to drive your partner crazy because now you're just like zero fuse, and everything's going to set you off, and they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? And so if you frame it in terms of this is for you,
Yeah.
honey, this is for you. It's like, I want you to have the best relationship with me. And what I need for that to work is I need some alone time, some space for myself. I need to have a room where I can just go
Mhm.
and chill, and I need to just listen to my music or just like read or like do whatever it is, just like relax. For me, before bed is a really important time for me. Like I actually do a wind down before jumping into bed, and I don't go on my computer or anything. We like we watch a little Netflix, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go do my wind down. And I like lay on the floor, like have this block where I put my leg up, and I do these different things, and I'm listening to a podcast or just music or just chilling, and then I do a little massage on my like body, just like my legs, my hands, my arms, my face, my head, just before I go to bed. And that's my time. And if I don't do that, I'm probably going to be wired while I'm sleeping. Well, I'm not sleeping. I'm going to be in grouch the next morning. And like, you don't want to live with that. So, so anytime you can frame it in terms of the benefit the other person's going to get, that helps a lot. Same with work. Like HSPs at work also need to take breaks here and there, also need a little quieter space for themselves. And sometimes it's not possible, but if you get into conversation with managers, then this is about you can increase your productivity or you can be a more effective part of the team. And so that frames it in a way that often makes sense to people.
Yeah. Is there, and you said how many, I don't know, at the beginning you said a certain percentage, but I can't remember exactly the percentage of people that are.
Yeah, it's 15 to 20% of the population has this HSP trait.
How do we become less invisible?
Yes,
No.
it's
Yeah.
becoming less and less invisible all the time. And what's interesting is just because you're HSP does not necessarily mean you're introvert either.
Oh, interesting. Really? Okay,
Surprisingly,
interesting.
30% of people who are HSP are extrovert. So you can have the extrovert personality, but still need time alone and still have the depth of processing and the emotional component and all of these things. So it's a very specific little trait.
Interesting. Yeah. I definitely identify or feel that I'm more introverted because I've always likened that to a need for time to be by myself. But when I tell people, they're like, what?
Yeah, I know, right? So extroverts,
On and off. Yeah, actually.
yeah, extroverts get energy by being around people. They feel like something relaxes and they're like more at
Mm,
home. Introverts get the energy from being alone and taking care of themselves that way. Obviously, most HSPs are introverts, but
mhm.
there are exceptions there.
Yeah, some rare birds.
That's right.
Yeah. Um, any last like gifts or myths that you'd like to share? Uh,
It's a great question. It even has poetry built into it. I'm like, I
yeah, I
gotta, I
love some
gotta.
words. No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Gifts or myths?
Mhm.
Yeah, that is a good question. I'm like drawing a blank, to be honest.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more like, how can I stay connected to myself?
Mhm.
That as human beings, whether you're highly sensitive or not, how do you stay connected with yourself? That is how you have the most to give. That is how your relationships can be more fulfilling. That is how you can be more happy and balanced. Like, it's the missing element that we all just forget because the world points us outwards. It keeps us pointed to what's the next thing we should do, who should we be like, what should we accomplish, and uh, and that's fine.
Yeah, or if we get like if we buy this, then we'll feel this way or be this.
Exactly, right? It's all outward, and we've learned, or we've kind of gotten trained over our lives to think that happiness is out there, everything that we want is out there. So just keep looking out there, out there, out there. Out there is an important part. This is that we were saying, the balance of, we have to get messy and get out there also. But inward is the place that we tend to forget. And so just put more of that in your life, like just a little more inward. Ask yourself what you think,
Mm,
give yourself time, give yourself space, and take care of yourself.
curiosity. To me, it's like, are you maybe, is there a need to be curious around the resistance to not wanting to sit with yourself?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know? Well,
exactly.
yeah, if we get
And
really
that can be a starting point. Like, if you can't actually sit with yourself because it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
then like start with, like, what am I afraid will happen, or what am I
Mm,
uncomfortable about sitting with myself? Do that little process that I was telling you about, the work of Byron Katie, and just
mhm.
like I don't want to sit with myself because I'm gonna, I don't. It can just be, I don't want to. I don't,
Yeah,
like, and is it
or
true?
afraid of what will be illuminated. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm gonna find out there's just nothing in there. I'm gonna find out that it's, like, more complicated. I don't wanna look at that stuff. It's gonna be painful. These are all thoughts that can be questioned. And then when you feel safe, then you can just keep inching your way there. This is digging your roots in a little deeper and deeper into your base. And then the more you do that, the taller your tree can rise.
That visual too of the tree. Anything else you want to drop in? I have your website here, and I'll definitely put that in the show notes. Trueinnerfreedom.com, right?
Trueinnerfreedom.com. I'm all about inner freedom, which is amazing because it means the world around you doesn't have to change.
Mhm.
And that's where the freedom comes in. So as you work with your inner world, you're you're less dependent on the outer world. Of course, you still have to interact, and you can still take action, but this gives an option for that. So yeah, go to trueinnerfreedom.com. I have the HSP stress test there on my website, and so you can find out two things from that test: whether you have the HSP trait or not, or how, to what degree. It's kind of a scale. And then where you fall on different stress levels, like, what's your depression like, what's your anxiety like, what's your stress like. And it's another important data point, because remember, we can work with stress, we just have to accept the HSP trait if that happens to be our nature. So knowing where you are, where you're out of balance, can be the starting point for starting to get into balance. And I have a 6-month program for stress management for highly sensitive people, and we go into all of these things in detail, and with a lot of community support and support from me as well. So there's lots there. And then you can check out my podcast. I have a podcast called Stress Management for Highly Sensitive People. And you just type in HSP, and you'll find a whole bunch of episodes about these kinds of subjects.
Cool. And then you prompted another question. So I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
are HSPs more likely to be anxious or depressed?
We it's a great question. So there is a kind of connection between stress and HSP, but it's
Mhm.
not exactly what you would think. You might think HSPs are more stressed than other people because they're so sensitive. That's only true if HSPs allow themselves to get out of balance. And If they do, they get that overwhelm, they get all the stress markers and everything happens, then that's the sign they have to come back to balance. If you stay in balance, the advantage of being an HSP is that you can actually, you have a chance for even greater resiliency than other people because you're able to notice stress earlier than other people. And so, you know how an
Mm,
ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? So,
mm,
you notice when, the ship is deviating 1 degree right now, so you just pull it
mm,
back to where it's supposed to be, and then you don't have problems down the road. Whereas people that don't have this trait, they have a bigger buffer, so things don't bother them as much. They can put up with a lot more stuff, but at some point it may come crashing down because they weren't paying attention and the ship's on the rocks or something like that. So
interesting.
yeah, we have an advantage and a disadvantage. We have to
Yeah.
do our work. We can't get away with it, which sucks sometimes, but actually is really a good thing because it keeps us, really optimally functioning when we do our work.
Love this conversation with you. And so I just appreciate you coming on here and sharing some insight and wisdom and just who you are.
You're so welcome, Kristen. It was awesome talking with you. I love your openness and your great questions and your willingness to do the work. Amazing.
Thank you.